Good morning, Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Good morning to all of you out there, wherever you are. If you are within the sound of my voice this morning, won't you please join us as we sing our opening congregational song this morning, We Let It Be. We let the love wash over us. We let it be. All right, here we go. Many pray along the way. They don't stop to wonder what the world is coming to. They let something higher reveal the way to greater love. Oh yeah. So the truth is telling me, sing of liberation for the ones who are not free. Love can take us higher, reveal the way to greater love. Oh yeah, so we let it wash over us, we let it hold us together, we let it make us kinder, we let it be, we let it early in the morning lift us higher and hold us together, we let it be, we let it, many cry along the way, walking through the sadness for the ones who are not free. Love can take us higher, reveal the way to greater love. Oh yeah. So the truth is telling me love's the only answer. So to all humanity, we can stay inspired, reveal the way to greater love. Oh yeah, so we let it wash over us and take us higher. We let it make us kinder. We let it be. We let it early in the morning hold us together. And now and forever we let it be. We let love wash over us. We let it be. We let the joy wash over us. We let Thank you. Let it be. Oh, yes. I'm all wound up. I would like to now, let's let it rain. Can we have rain? Introducing rain.
Got it. Thank you so much, Kenneth Cozy Arrington, Deb Santamaria. That was amazing. I'm all wound up too. I was just thinking how if we were in the sanctuary, I would be up at the front with sun dancing away. We're so blessed to feel this music and experience this music online. Thank you, thank you. And welcome to the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living, where we teach spiritual principles and practices that nourish us, uplift us, and celebrate our oneness with all of life. And a very special welcome today to those of you joining us for the first time on a Sunday morning. If you'd like to connect with us, please send an email to Constance Chapman, our administrative coordinator, at constance@oaklandcsl.org. In order to maintain a sacred atmosphere this morning, please take a moment to turn off your Zoom camera and mute your Zoom microphone. And now let's take a moment to bless our children wherever they are. We honor all our youth and children in our community and the world. We love you. We see you. You are Spirit's gift to us. Thank you for being in our lives. And so it is. I have just a few announcements this morning. In March, our theme is Open to Possibilities, and it is also Women's History Month. Reverend Sally Bartholomew will start off this amazing month speaking to Living in the Question at this Wednesday's Satsang. Meditation is at 6:30 and service is at 7 p.m. The final event of Black History Month happens this afternoon from 12:30 to 1:15 with Love Tashia Asante sharing stories for Black history. Please sign up on the events page of the website, and let's make this a special ending to a very special month. My Mother's Hands book group for white and white identified people with practitioner Chantal Rolfing and Allison McKenzie has changed their start date to tomorrow. So you can still participate. You can register on the events page, and your love offering will be a gift to the center. The Women's Spiritual Transformation Group, led by Reverend Jerry, will meet next Sunday after service, and you are welcome to participate. Our annual meeting is this upcoming Friday, March 5th at 7 p.m. There will not be a dinner this year. It's BYOD to your computer screen to join and log on at 7 and hear the good news from 2020. Yes, there was some good news in 2020. If you're a voting member, please check your email for the link to vote for the open board positions, for the nominees for the board positions, and get your vote in by Thursday, March 4th. And finally, save the date for a meditation class, a certified class. Meditation is more than you think. Learn the many different ways to quiet the mind and find one that works for you. More details will be forthcoming in future services. We have many more groups, ministries, and events happening here at the Center for Spiritual Living. You can check the Village News for links to these and other activities, and also always go to the website, our information hub during this time of cyber connection, oaklandcsl.org. Now, please read along with me as I read our vision and mission statement. The vision of the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living is to joyfully reveal the love and oneness of God. We are a welcoming and inclusive spiritual community dedicated to individual transformation and collective growth. Our purpose is to love, inspire, and serve our community and the world through education, music, prayer, and play. And so it is. And now I'd like to pass the Zoom camera and mic off to Regina Buckwalter.
Thank you, Rain. What a pleasure it is to be here the last Sunday of Black History Month, and also to be here with Dr. Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman. Wow, this is a very special sermon. It's been a while since we have seen you, Reverend Michelle Coleman. The first reading is from Ernest Holmes. We are all bound, tied hand and foot by our very freedom. Our free will binds us, but as free will creates the conditions which externally limit us, so we can create or dissolve them. The universe, being deductive only, cannot refuse man anything. And so the next reading is from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. In the process of gaining our rightful place, we must not be guilty of wrongful deeds. Let us not seek to satisfy our thirst for freedom by drinking from the cup of bitterness and hatred. We must forever conduct our struggle on the high plane of dignity and discipline. And so as we settle with our breath, gather ourselves into our spiritual center, feeling the sensation of our feet grounding us in the goodness of God, our feet grounding us within our bodies, deeply connecting to the earth, to the nurturing qualities of Mother Earth. We are nurtured when we feel that connection. We are nurtured when we drop into ourselves and trust in the goodness of God. We trust by being present with ourselves. And we feel ourselves. We gather ourselves. We know that we are indeed the light of God. When we gather ourselves, we can feel that light. We can feel that love that moves through us. Love and light are felt. They are gifts from God. The experience of presence, the experience of breath, the experience of sensation, the experience of knowing because we can feel it. And we feel that love. And that is indeed our freedom. The light of God within us is our freedom, and it moves easily and effortlessly through us, as that is the infinite power that we have on earth. That is how we connect and unify with who we really are. We allow the light to move through us. We allow the love to move through us, and that is our freedom. And I speak a word from myself. I know that is my truth. I know that is the truth of every single person on this Zoom call. It is the truth of everybody on this earth. It is the truth of everybody that is living and breathing on the earth. That love and light that moves through us unites us with the presence of the divine. And that is our freedom. And that is how we move forward in the world, with gentleness and kindness and compassion and our truth, that we stand firmly on the goodness of God moving through us. And I bless this service. I bless Dr. Reverend Sunshine Coleman, as she will be speaking and illuminating and lifting our hearts and minds with her words and her experiences. I bless everybody that has come here to support this service, the folks on Zoom, the tech support, our community, everybody, the musicians, the entire community at OCSL. I bless Reverend Jeff on his journey of wholeness. And I just released my word into the law that always celebrates freedom, the law that always celebrates truth, the law that always celebrates love and light, knowing that that is how we always unify and express our freedom, express who we are. And I just released my word into the law, letting go, letting God, giving thanks, and so it is. Amen. And now it is my pleasure again to introduce Kenneth Cozy Arrington, the traveling voice, and the fierce Deb Santa Maria. Thank you.
Hello again. In light that this is the last day of Black History Month, I decided I would change it up a little bit and do this old Negro spiritual. Keep your hand on the plow. Noah, let me come in. Doors are fastened and the windows pinned. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Noah said you done lost your track. Can't plow straight, keep looking back. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Mary had a golden chain, every link spelled with Jesus' name. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Hold that chain and never tire. Every run goes higher and higher. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. If you wanna go to heaven, I'll tell you how. Keep your hand on that gospel plow. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Hold that chain and never tire. Every run goes higher and higher. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on that plow and hold on. Hold on. Keep your hand on that plow. Keep your hand on that plow. Keep your hand on that plow. Hold on. need to let's introduce, let's bring our own beloved Reverend Jerry Carter. Reverend, hold on, everybody, hold on.
Let's just take a moment to take that beautiful song in. Kenneth Cozy, our beloved, and Deb Santa Maria. What a beautiful, beautiful piece. I'm so touched. I'm almost speechless. Thank you both so much. Just breathing that in. And good morning, everyone. I am so grateful to be here, to be hosting for our guest speaker today on this final Sunday of Black History Month that we've been celebrating in such a beautiful way here at Oakland Center. I am so honored to have this opportunity to introduce my dear friend and colleague, someone that I've known for a long, long time, who I've admired and appreciate, who is so joyful and just an amazing inspiration to me and to so many. So for those of you who don't know our very own Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman, that name may sound familiar because she's part of our spiritual family here at Oakland Center. I have the honor to say that Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman has been in religious science and unity for more than 4 decades and was ordained in 2017. She is the founding community leader of Authenticity Journey of Renewal, a CSL-focused ministry launched in 2016. Dr. Sunshine Michelle has a passion for uncovering the true, authentic self and conveying sacred space, which is the subject of her doctoral dissertation successfully completed last year. She recently completed the design and lead facilitation of the Black, Indigenous, and People of Color Sacred Circles for CSL ministers, practitioners, and members. She has been a human resources professional for many years, and shifting her career to soon launch Coleman Coaching and Consulting. Yay. Dr. Sunshine Michelle served actively with all of the Centers for Spiritual Living communities in Oakland, including with us at First Church of Religious Science of Oakland, where she took her practitioner training and served as a licensed practitioner, and again later as Oakland Center for Spiritual Living. Her son, Freddie Lambright III, participated in the OCSL youth program and graduated several years ago from the School of the Art Institute of Chicago as an illustrator. And he's an amazing young man and just another product of our teaching. He is just incredible. So I am honored to let you know that Reverend Sunshine earned her name because she is so bright and beautiful, and I know you're going to enjoy her service this day. I know we all are. We're so blessed to have you, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman.
Thanks, beautiful Reverend Jerry. I so appreciate it. Happy Sunday, all of you. And as my grandmother would greet the congregation, first giving honor to God from whom all blessings flow. To Reverend Jeff and the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living congregation and this amazing team that pulled all this together. They had quite a pre-service, a whole lot of people behind the scenes. So thanks to all of you. And I start the way I know to start is by honoring my ancestors, and I want you to honor yours too. So while you stay on mute, I invite you to say aloud and call into the room ancestors that want to be with us here today. And as you do that, I call forth my Grammy-O, my beloved Grammy-O, Mother Lena Mae Dixon. I call forth my father, Leroy Coleman, who gave me my last name, and my stepdad, Dr. Willard Smith, whose birthday was last Saturday, as well as my great aunt, Irma, whose birthday was also last Saturday. And I can't help but also call out Mother Cicely Tyson, who stepped to the other side the other day. Diva after my own heart, because y'all, I'm a queen diva. Y'all know that. And she, up until the last moment, her last interview, full makeup on, just as beautiful and articulate as ever. So we honor the ancestors today. And in this moment of silence, we also honor the names, a few of the names of those Black lives who have been senselessly taken from us too soon. And I call out Genoa Donald in Washington, Patrick Warren in Texas, and Xavier Hill in Virginia, who just this year lost their lives to violence. And there's so many others on the hashtag Say Their Names list that I invite you to go pay homage to, many of whom we've heard, like Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, and George Floyd. We offer a moment of silence. And I say, lift every voice and sing, till when earth and heaven ring, ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us, and sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory is won. Can't start a Black History Month talk with at least uttering some of those words. And I want to acknowledge everyone that came before me this month to make this such a joyous celebration. It's been so many ministers and practitioners and staff and tech persons and support in the community. And I know that I'm representing the last but not least Sunday in Black History Month, and I have a challenge at the end of the talk to let us keep it going. And what I know that we've done together, all of us, including today, is to what I hear and the way it's represented in my doctoral work, which I'll refer a little bit to, is we have created and we're co-creating a communal healing vibrational resonance that ripples out and spreads like a love contagion. That's what I'm claiming. Across this community at OCSL and across the lands, to all the prayers that are being uttered right where each of you are as well. And so when I've been scheduled for quite some weeks here for this talk, and when Spirit started dropping down, y'all know me, know I listen pretty attunely and I don't question it. So I heard when the topic came up of journey to freedom, and I added liberation. To me, you need both of them. I heard to follow the yellow brick road. So there's a slide, we're going to alternate with some slides. That slide, if you will, for the yellow brick road is just to illustrate that it's a journey, and it's infinite in God. There are no limitations in God, none. And we're going to follow this yellow brick road along the pathway. So the next slide talks about, I like to start with definitions so that we're all on the same page. When we think of freedom, it's an exemption from external. This is all from dictionary.com, but I had to amend it and say it's also internal. Exemption from internal and external control, interference, regulation. It's the power to determine action without restraint, and an exemption from the presence of anything specified that's usually followed by the word from, like freedom from fear. And that's what we're working on, freedom from fear to faith. And when we look at the verb of liberate, is to set free from imprisonment or bondage, to set free, whether it be a group of individuals or an individual, from social or economic constraints or discrimination. And we got a lot of that going on. So we're here in consciousness together to liberate ourselves from this, especially as it arises from traditional roles, expectations, or bias. And the other one, last but not least, is to disengage, to set free from things that are bound up to set free. Thank you for those slides. You can release that. So as I was thinking about the journey to freedom, I wondered, it is a journey. It's not a destination. It's not when we get there. Are we ever free? Well, yes, we are. And what I believe is that in this human experience that we're all in, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, that there will always be some level of bondage that we are constantly attaining through a process of freedom and liberation. And how do we do that? It's through our spiritual practices, like we're here today, that beautiful meditation that Bonnie led, and we journal and we vision and we go to classes and we pray and we do all these things, and that is what helps us connect into that infinite possibility in God that knows no bondage. Because guess what, people? Freedom is by choice. You can be as unhappy or imprisoned as you want to be for as long as you want to be. Or you can choose to change your mind and be free. And freedom is a state of consciousness. So I believe as a human experience, we are always attaining higher levels of consciousness in freedom. My passion in life, recently discovered and going forward, is through authenticity and authentic self-expression. That's what I'm all about, standing in one's truth and learning to stand in one's truth. And in order to do that, it is a process. I believe one of my theories in my doctoral work is called the putter process. And here's what it is, that in order for us to find our true self within, as we were created as in God, unleashed from all those things of bondage, we have to peel and uncover and discover and even recover our true authentic selves, which oftentimes takes a space of vulnerability and truth seeking and truth telling. And all of this can yield freedom and liberation. When you look at the master teachers, and I think of two in particular, I think of the man we know of as Jesus, and Siddhartha, the one through enlightenment that we've come to know as Buddha. They lived a human experience, and you better believe they had some bondage, right? They had same things that we're dealing with today, actually, taxes and violence and discrimination and hatred. Yet they were free in consciousness because they knew from whence they came. They knew whose they were. But they had to remind themselves because they got caught up in this human experience just like we do. We can go outside and get caught up in the human experience. And as soon as we realize that, we can say, no, I'm gonna let that go. I'm choosing faith today. So this is the journey to freedom and liberation. I think of Mother Harriet. Yes, I'm talking about Harriet Tubman. Mother Harriet was free long before she left being enslaved, and she escaped. They didn't free her, she left. But you better believe long before she left, she was free in consciousness. And not only did she carve that pathway to freedom and liberation, she did that for herself and went back, risking enslavement again to help free others. But what did she say? Y'all have to choose freedom on your own. I can't bring you if you choose to stay enslaved. That's where freedom is a choice, and freedom is about consciousness. Think of Father Mandela. Yes, I'm talking about Nelson. And he was free long before they released him from prison. He was free in consciousness because he did his work. Listen, people, we are no different than they. We're made of the same cloth. So whatever might be binding you today, know that you have a different choice. And everyone on this call, we're all about the spiritual space. So we just need to turn our attention when we forget to what we know. And that is about faith. I love giving examples. So let me give you another one. When I think of David E. Talbert If you don't know that name, he is a brilliant current day writer and was the executive producer of the Jingle Jangle story on Netflix, which if you have not seen, it's fabulous. It will, I want my great grandchildren to be able to see that. It's a beautiful movie that was just released last Christmas. And he worked on that project for 20 years. When you see it, you see unlimited possibility there. And what did Netflix tell him? Write to your imagination, not to the budget. They gave him an unlimited budget. I'm mentioning him because with all the bells and whistles that he included in that movie, you better believe that he had to work in his consciousness to free himself from lack and limitation. He held on to that vision and it paid off. That's what we need to do. I have a dear friend, Dr. Denise Boston, who is now she moved back to her hometown of Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. And she sent me the other day, I want y'all to go look it up. It's called The Great Migration, what many of our people have come through, Black people, after the Civil War and after emancipation. And she is the newly inaugurated manager of equity and restorative practices in Baltimore, Maryland. So you look it up on YouTube. It's called The Great Migration. If you look up Howard County, Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland. Here's what that's about. After the Civil War, when Black folks were, we fought to fight in the war. We fought to fight and represent our country. But we were still in a lot of ways bound. And so our people, that's how we spread out all over the country, this country, and in other countries for that matter, to get a better way of life. So go check out The Great Migration, because it's a great example of a journey and a pathway to freedom and liberation. The first quote that I have, two quotes for you. The first one, if you can put that slide up, by Ernest Holmes in the Science of Mind book on page 185 says, to daily meditate and pray on the perfect life and to embody the great ideal is a path to freedom, to that peace that passes understanding, and to happiness to the soul of humankind. Let us learn to see as God sees with perfect vision. Let us seek the good and the true and believe in them with our whole heart. This is our pathway to freedom. Thank you for that. So I want to tell you a little story and get a little bit deeper into our spiritual practice. And I always like to use myself as an example because I can do that. I can speak from my own experience. Just 1 week ago, I had an unexpected 2-day hospital stay. I ended up in the emergency room, and it was an experience that I had to simply surrender to. I had choice. I could have been fearful. I could have worried, but I didn't. And thanks to the quick wit of my dear friend, she got me over there to the hospital, and the rest is history. I am 100% covered 1 week later, and it could have gone very differently. And so I look back and I thought, well, Spirit, I always like to look for the lessons learned in everything. Not that I have to explain everything away, but I think we go through this human condition, this human experience, as I told you about, for a reason. So I was like, well, what is the reason for this? And I was thinking, well, I think my talk was juicy enough without having to go through a 2-day hospital stay and be in intensive care and then recover for the week and not miss a beat and still be able to speak to the group today. Well, here's what I learned. I did learn what the lessons learned, and I'm probably still learning. And that's what I want to share with you. And this is where we're going to delve a little bit more into spiritual practice before we close. Practice what you preach. So as Reverend Jerry said, I've been in this movement for many, many decades, and through counseling people as a practitioner, as a minister, even with family, if you are going into a medical procedure like a surgery or something, or if you're having a hard time, the first thing I will tell you to do is to get a mantra. A mantra is a short affirmative statement of what it is that you want to turn your attention to, which in religious science we call the mental equivalent. Look for, if you're steeped in fear, turn towards faith, because that's what you want. So get a mantra. So as I was in the Oakland hospital the other night in the emergency room, and and the staff pounced on me, thank God, bless you, that I had coverage and all, and needed to be transported to another location, which was another 30 minutes away. This was my first ambulance ride. When I found myself in that vehicle for the first time, I had a choice. I could have panicked. I could have done anything, but what happened? It kicked in subconsciously. That's why we want to practice. We want to inundate our subconscious. We want to uproot whatever is in there that may be neutralizing our prayers so that it can kick in for a moment such as that. So the mantra, 6 little words that came up straight. I didn't have to think about it. It came straight in my mind, and I thought about it the whole ambulance ride over there. The miracle working power of God. That's what I want you to focus on this week. The miracle working power of God. That's what I focused on. That is turning my attention over there, regardless of what's happening right here. And if that wasn't enough, and by the way, all this happened at the close of the CSL Vista conference, which I went to last week. So this happened that night at closing, right? I was fine, and then I wasn't. Earlier that day, I guess that's why I heard this song, as somebody said, your jukebox comes on. Have you had that happen where all of a sudden a song comes in your mind for no reason? Well, while I was in that ambulance, Karen Drucker was saying, I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. So now I got two things. I got the mantra and I got the song. But if that wasn't enough, guess what? Ricky Byers kicked in. Ironic that Fierce Deb and Cozy sang a Ricky Byers song earlier. I hadn't been listening to her. The jukebox came on, and what did Ricky say? Trust love. Trust God. And here's the key. She said the perfect giver of love and receiver of love. So I had to simply I didn't have to, I had choice. I chose to simply bask in receiving love and just receive that, and love will find its way. So that's what was running through my mind in that ambulance ride. Here's another thing that I learned that I tell people, Spirit gave it to me, and I've been coaching people to jump off the cliff of faith. That's what I want you to do. That's one of the spiritual principles I'm giving you today. What does that mean? It means literally that you go jump off the cliff of faith. Whatever it is that somebody out there today, if you're not dealing with something now, you will be. I hope it brings you back to what I'm saying right now, to go jump off the cliff of faith. If you're steeped in worry, steeped in fear, steeped in hatred, steeped in whatever it is that you know you want to experience something different, all you have to do is choose and go that way and jump off the cliff of faith and build that spiritual muscle to find the mental equivalent. Because guess what? In the Bible, it tells us we only need a nano piece of faith, like the size of a small grain of mustard seed, even smaller than that, like an atom size. You only need just a little bit. It's a Nike moment. Just go do it. Go jump off. Why don't we jump off more easily? Because in the human condition, we fear anything that we can't control and that we don't understand and don't know what's on the other side. You know I'm right. And so, when you turn to faith, it doesn't mean you jump off that cliff. It doesn't mean that you don't have fear. But you do it anyway. You all have heard the term feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what this means. You go jump off the cliff. When you think of jumping off the cliff, just admit it. When you think about that, you think, what's the first thing you think? Gravity. Right, because we're in a human experience. We know about the laws of science. However, when you're working with the miracle working power of God, that can defy gravity. We're talking about infinite possibility on the yellow brick road of the journey to freedom and liberation. And for all you know, when you're focusing on the miracle working power of God and you jump off that cliff of faith and you take your fear with you, you might end up over there in a bouncy amusement park once you jump off the cliff and be in the time of your life and not crash bang with gravity. You don't know that. But all we need to know is that here's another thing that I was reminded of my own teachings. All I need to know is the what. I don't need to know the how. If I trust God, it doesn't matter what's on the other side. That's why we're afraid of death. Some of us. I'm not. I discovered the other day, and I knew it already. But it's like, Lord, if it's my time to go, I'm ready to go. I know you're gonna take care of my people and everything. But it wasn't my time. It didn't feel like it. So I'm surrendered to whatever that is. So I know the what is whatever God's doing. That's what I'm doing. But I don't have to know how it's going to do that. I'm just choosing freedom and liberation and faith, love, harmony, peace, joy, clarity, and I can name off all these other things. It's up to us. We don't need to steep in guilt, blame, and shame when we forget. It's just when we remember, it's like, oh, yeah, okay, I come back. We do that in meditation, don't we, Bonnie? So when we're new to meditation or new to spiritual practice, you know, your mind wanders and then some people feel bad. And it's, oh, man, I went to sleep. Oh, man, I was over there. No, you just come back and you start again. You come back and you build from that. When we know better, we can do better. And this is what our life here, I'm convinced, on this planet is about. The human condition as spiritual beings is to remember who we are and do as much as we can to help us remember that. So lastly, in my lessons learned, it was in receivership, just total receivership. That's what Ricky Byers said, the giver of love and the receiver of love. My beloved community, of their own accord, when they found out what happened to me, put together a meal train and is bringing me meals for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And they raised money on their own to support me through this. Now that's hard for me. Somebody that's so used to giving and giving and giving, but knowing that spirit works in reciprocity and it's the law of circulation. I've been working on that long time ago. It's not just about giving, it's about receiving. So it's like when I realized that, I laughed out loud. It's like, okay, all right. And my community members, I have a few who are on the line right now, know that I've just been like, okay, oh my gosh, you guys are going to shower me with this love. What am I going to do? But receive it and say thank you. So the last quote that I'll put up, if you wouldn't mind putting up that slide, is from Richard Rohr from the book Falling Forward. And it says, like any true mirror, the gaze of God receives us exactly as we are, without judgment or distortion, without subtraction or addition. Such perfect receiving is what transforms us. Being totally received as we truly are is what we wait and long for all our lives. All we can do is receive and return the loving gaze of God every day. And afterwards, we will be what? Internally free and deeply happy at the same time. Thank you. So my challenge, I'm going to end before I start the prayer. I'm going to end with a challenge to all of us. It's so wonderful to celebrate Black History Month and Blackness. And at the university that I just graduated from, they call it the 28 days of Blackness. But guess what, y'all? I'm Black more than 28 days of the year. I'm Black 365 days a year, just like we're spiritual beings 365, and that's just a marker in time. Just like Hispanics are and indigenous people are, Asians are, LGBTQ plus community are. So I am challenging OCSL and Centers for Spiritual Living in the broader community to find ways to integrate all of our cultures into the monthly mix. Not just a designated month. And by the way, I am really glad that we have a month dedicated like this. It needs to extend in order to create the world that works for everyone. It needs to you know, Bell Hooks has this beautiful saying that I love. She calls it the white supremacist capitalist patriarchy that we live in, as the up until now, I'm claiming, as the dominant culture. What we are looking to do, we here in our circle right now, is transmute this into a world and a culture that represents the tapestry of God's multiplicity and oneness. And it is not what it has been up until now. And the way that we're going to shift is to move. We're on the pathway, right? So we did create a month for indigenous and the native heritage, and for Hispanics, and for Pride Month, and for Black History Month, and for Women's Month that's coming up next month. And we got to extend this into more of that, so this is what we're living. That's what Hulu did. If y'all didn't know, I just saw last night they are creating a session in March called The Soul of America, and it's how Black people helped build this country. And Nomadland, which is about people who are it's a movie about people who are challenged in housing and how they're nomadic. And so let's just keep this up. Let's just keep this up. So last but not least, we have a community affirmation that really is an affirmation from my altar, and based on this topic, I'm going to invite you to stay muted, but say it aloud as I read it. You can read it along with me. And that is, I pray the transmutation of all historical oppressions, marginalizations, and transgressions, and the racialized trauma that it has caused, into peace, love, harmony, forgiveness, and release. And so it is. I thank you, loved ones, and now let us go into prayer. What I know for sure is that God is here and there and everywhere, whether you call it God, God is, Buddha, Allah, Yahweh, whatever the name is. We can't even do it justice, because in our limited human vocabulary, we are attempting to name something that is nameless, that is infinite, that is everywhere present. It is the farthest galaxy, and all the stars that twinkle and are so suspended in orbed in ways that we couldn't even imagine. It's the miracle working power of the human body, and how it gives birth, and how it heals and mends itself. It's every drop of water from the creek to the ocean. It is the sun that is shining, and the snow that is falling. It is everywhere, doing everything. For it is greatness, it is wholeness, purity, clarity, love, well-being. It's beauty, it's wonderment, it's everything, everything, even that which we can't even fathom yet, because we haven't even experienced it in our consciousness, but we know it's there. And what we do now is we allow the knower within us to know deeper than we ever have before, to know the truth, to remember who we are, to step into that grand space of unity and harmony as it, because it created us for a way to play small, as Marianne Williamson says, but to stand into our truth and to our glory this morning, which we do so together. So I am so grateful that we can commune together this morning in the spiritual ethers, to hold hands through space and time and technology, and come together heart to heart and unite with all prayers that are being uttered everywhere, to lift us up into the greatness that God is. And so I know that everything that comes after this prayer is already done. It's already complete. Even before we end the prayer, it's already done, because we are simply articulating and giving honor and praise to that which is infinite and already done. And so in a co-creative process, I am delighted not only to have spoken my word here today and in this prayer, but I am so delighted to pass the word of truth on for more specific names to be called in the community for healing and well-being from the prayer list, I now hand this baton over lovingly to Reverend Jerry.
So as we continue to breathe in the power of those words spoken, the beautiful words from Reverend Dr. Michelle, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle, as she so beautifully allowed us to see her light to this day with the incredible words spoken, the inspiration, the heart, and how good it is to know that this beautiful consciousness of love and oneness is everywhere present. We are with it, it is within us. Those words of freedom and liberation are added to those God qualities of love and light, joy, goodness. Just breathing it all in, taking a moment to say yes to Spirit this day, to affirm our mantra individually and collectively, whatever that may be. Mine is, I surrender to the power and the presence of Spirit within me. So as I surrender, I'd like to take a moment now to welcome this month's nonprofit partner. It has been Seacology. And Seacology works with islands that are uniquely vulnerable around the world to safeguard their land and seacologies from destruction. And for our planet, Mother Earth, gratitude for her beauty and resilience and our increasingly mindful stewardship of her. And sending love and blessings to our youth and the youth of the world, knowing they are guided by the loving mind and heart of Spirit. And also sending blessings to those in service, creating a world that works for everyone. And I'm calling forth right here and right now and knowing love and comfort and healing for all of those impacted by any and all challenges. For our beloved Reverend Jeff Anderson, knowing wholeness, knowing that healing energy of the divine is surrounding him and uplifting him right here and right now. And the same is true for Dottie Baker, Dana Hanna, for Amelia Sandap, for Daryl Dencht, for Gail Frauenglass and her husband Harvey, and for Mary Propercy, the sister of our beloved Deborah Jackson. Just trusting and knowing, and for Leela Wallace as well. And for anyone who has experienced any type of impact, the impact of the pandemic, of the COVID-19, just knowing that God is in the midst of their lives right here and right now, and always in the midst of our lives. Just leaning into Spirit and knowing God's grace and love is our sufficiency. And I'm claiming and accepting peace and comfort for those in transition. That would be our beloved Joanne Somerville and her family, as they uplift her and hold her during this process, this tender time of release. And I know for anyone who has anyone in your heart that is in need of a prayer, please speak their name right now into the ethers of this tender expression of Spirit. And so as those names continue to be spoken, I'm knowing that God has this, that God is in the midst of all of our life experience, that we truly are here on this earthly plane having a human experience, but it's filled with spirituality. It is filled with love and light. It is filled with all the grace and goodness of the divine. And so I trust that we're on this journey together as a village, as a peoples, knowing only greater good is yet to come for all of our peoples of the world. So it's with gratitude and joy and love that I let these words drift into the universal law of mind, that law of good, that law of life that always, always says yes, always to our heart's desires. How good it is to know this. I know that we are abundantly blessed as I let it be now. And so it is. Wow, what a beautiful service. I just feel uplifted and enriched and so excited to tap into some of the references and the ideas that were spoken of today. So thank you again, Reverend Dr. Sunshine Michelle Coleman. So it's that giving time. There's a slide for our to speak our giving statement. And remember, it's the givingness of spirit that's working through us in all ways. And as Reverend Dr. Sunshine spoke of that law of circulation and how as we give, we are open to receiving. So let us share our giving statement together. And there are lots of ways that we can participate in giving that we'll talk about in a moment. But please recite with me. This gift I give is God in action. It does good work in the world and blesses creation. And so if you go to our Oakland CSL website, you will see a very easy, user-friendly way to donate by pressing the donate button. And now you can text your donation as well. So as I always say, and as Louise Hay said, money is God in action. So as you give, be open to receiving. So this concludes our service, and I'd like to turn the speaker back over to, I'm not sure if it's Regina or Bonnie who's taking it from here.
Me, Regina.
It's Regina. Thank you,
Hi there.
Regina.
Hi
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Reverend Sunshine Michelle Coleman, for coming today. Loved your talk, lots of great ideas. Thank you for sharing your experiences on your own journeys. And I'd also like to thank Kenneth, the traveling voice, and the Fierce Dub Santa Maria. Always a pleasure for you, for all of us, when you come and bless us with your music. Just love when you show up. And thank you everybody for joining us out there. It's always a great, wonderful time on Sunday to come here and see our community and be there with you. And Judith Roberts is here to facilitate our prayer rooms. So if you want to hang on after the service and hang in there, get a prayer, we would love to pray with you. And if you can't do that today, you can always go on oaklandcsl.org, click in, and there will be a practitioner that can arrange time to pray with you. Thank you again. What a wonderful, wonderful day. God, I'm so glad I got to be PA today. And now our affirmation. Love acts through me, and the law of love frees us all. Love always frees us. And thank you for joining us today. What a pleasure. Bye-bye. Oh, yes. I'd like to introduce Kenneth and Deb for their final piece of music for us.
Thank you. I want you all to remember that there is only love. And I want you to sing along with me at the chorus of this song. This will be something new, perhaps to some of you, and our first time doing it as well. In this moment, in this place, I remember who I am, letting fear and worry fall away from me. I open my When I go inside and quiet my mind, I can hear Spirit gently say, sing with me, there is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. One more time, everybody. There is only love. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Love that heals, love that sets us free. There is only love. Peace and blessings, everyone. Love more, judge less.